What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with our Tales of Crestoria video. We're still a little bit, well, I say a little bit out, but we don't actually have an official release date yet for Crestoria other than the fact that they said early June. But I kind of wanted to do this little fun video where I have the screenshots up because I posted this tweet on Twitter while the beta was still going on of the SSRs in the starting banner. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go over all the units and kind of see who might be the best units to kind of go for when it comes to re-rolling when the game first comes out. So definitely let me know what you guys think down below. And we're just going to get started and go over... There are 15 units that will be on the starting banner, so we're going to go over them just one by one. So let's start with Velvet. Velvet is a pretty decent wind unit. You know, I feel like characters fall into three categories, and it's pretty... apparent with each one. They either fall into, they have great HP, but they have horrible attack or horrible defense. They have great attack, or they have horrible HP or horrible defense, or they have great defense, and they have, you know, you get the idea. I feel like Velvet falls into the glass cannon kind of territory, because I'd say the general defense of a normal unit is probably like 2,500. Like, that's what you should expect for normal if they aren't like a tank or if they aren't like a glass cannon. So she's just a little bit lower than the normal amount of defense you would expect, but she excels in terms of her attack. She almost has 4K attack, and this is obviously fully limit broken, you know, stats. So you aren't going to see this with, if you have like no dupes and you just get her to level 100, you're not going to see her with probably 21K health. Unless, of course, you have your Memoria Stone you have equipped to boost that overall. So her HP is kind of not really that great, and same thing with her defense, but she makes up for it with her attack power here. So she's definitely going to be one of those units that I'm just trying to think, like, what is going to be the best situation for you to use this character. I would say probably in Arena. Because you can kind of look at her attacks. All her attacks are single enemy targets. Her Mystic Art, Lethal Pain, one enemy. Rising Falcon, one enemy, one enemy. So she'd be a great unit in Arena, for example, to kind of just smack, especially when the game first launches. You know, anyone who has Kronos, who's lucky enough to pull Kronos from a ticket, you are going to want to smack him out on the first turn. So you are going to want to, you know, take whatever glass cannon characters like Velvet you have and just smack Kronos as hard as possible. I forget what element Kronos is off the top of my head, but assuming you have the right element, smacking him out of existence will be the best thing for you to do right off the bat. So she's not bad. She's definitely just a hard-hitting unit, but, you know, if you end up getting attacked by, you know, something she's bad against, you're going to have a very horrible time. Let's look at Saray here. Saray is going to be my first pick for the SSR that I choose. I just think overall he's a pretty solid character. He's another one of those characters that only is a single target for all of his attacks. But especially with something like Sword Rain Alpha, it has a 13-hit combo. So getting that percentage gauge up is going to be very nice with Saray. 25k health, 2400 attack, and 3400 defense. So he is a... I don't want to say he's a straight-out tank, but he's definitely much tankier than Velvet we just looked at, because Velvet only had, like, what? So he has 4,000 more HP, and then he ends up with, like, 1,300 more defense. So he's definitely going to be taking a lot more punishment, but of course, he has 1,500 less attack, so he's not going to be hitting as hard. But that's okay, because Saray seems to be one of these characters. You know, you look a lot of it at a lot... Because look at Velvet. All of her attacks don't really work your gauge up that much. So Velvet's going to be the character you're going to want to use at the end of your turn. You know, the last character to attack. Whereas Saray is going to be the kind of character you want to set up your attacks. You know, Sword Rain Alpha, 13-hit combo. This isn't the actual name for his fire attack, but even just a 5-hit combo, his lowest hit combo is still higher than anything Velvet has. And then Bolt Tempest, his Mystic Art, is an 8-hit combo. So if you really wanted to set up Velvet well, like if you're running a full win team, use Sword Rain Alpha, use your Mystic Art, and then you can go over to Velvet and then use Hell's Claw, and then use Lethal Pain. Lethal Pain will do a ton of damage now that you've gotten that gauge up there. So Soraya is definitely one of those kind of setup characters, for sure, which will be very nice to have. Let's look at Milla. I didn't get to use her too much in the beta, even as a support. It didn't seem like a lot of people really ended up with Milla, so that was kind of interesting. Let's just look at everything real quick. So 21,000 HP, once again, pretty low. So in the health department, she's kind of suffering there, but her attack and her defense make up for it, because they basically at 3k with both of those. So she's going to be a pretty well-rounded unit despite her low HP, but you can make up for that by giving her a Memoria Stone that will give her a decent amount of HP. So that'd be pretty nice to kind of do there. Her Elemental Mastery is a nice setup move. Let's look. 320% damage. What was same thing there. So it's the same percentage damage or attack, but it hits more. So that's a really good setup Mystic Art if you're going to be setting up all your other party members. Excuse me, I had to yawn real quick. Oof. But then her Cloud Pierce is only a 1-hit, and then Lightning is a 4-hit combo with 40% chance to cast Debilitated. I'm not sure what that means. I assume that means stun. So there's a chance you can, I'm just assuming based on the Lightning. So yeah, overall, she can be used as a setup character for her Mystic Art, but overall, she seems like she's just going to be a well-rounded attacker. So she seems pretty decent for the light attribute there. And then we have Asbel here. Asbel is pretty solid. He's a little different than Milla over here, because while Milla excels in attack and defense, Asbel excels in HP and attack, whereas his defense is extremely low. So he's not a character you're going to want to be taking hits from, really strong enemies. He's going to be the kind of character you probably want to use, against mobs or, longer fights with several enemies. I mean, if you can keep him healed up, he'll be fine. And obviously these skills you need to get your dupes in order to activate, so it's not going to matter for just having one copy. But his Stampede Strike is 370%. Which is 50% higher, but it does less hits. It only does 9 hits, but that's still better. Soray's only does 8, but he also has a 60% chance to cast Wildfire on an enemy for 2 turns. Whereas Asbel's Mystic Art does not have a secondary effect, it's just a stronger hitting move. He has Plasma Shock, 100% chance to increase the offensive power of self by, this is supposed to say, I think 10% for 2 turns. Wait, no, 100% chance to increase the offensive power of self by 100%. Okay, so by 10% for 2 turns, okay. So, you're gonna get that 10% increase right there. So, that's kind of nice there. You get 2 turns. So, basically, you would want to start out with this. Your first turn that you use Asbel, you start with Plasma Shock, so whether you decide to use Incineration Wave next turn, or if you manage to get up a gauge fast enough to use Stampede Strike, you're going to have that attack buff right there, so that would be kind of nice to have. But overall, he seems okay. He's got decent HP, decent attack, you just got to watch out for that defense right there. If you take some of those real hard physical hits, that's not going to be very pretty. So that's the first row, so let's move over to Cano right here. Cano, let's take a look. She's actually pretty well-rounded. I have to say, Cano might be one of the better starting units. I mean, 24,000 health is still a little... I feel like a sweet spot for HP is probably 25, 26,000, so she's pretty much right there. And then she's got a defense of 2350, which is pretty... I feel like the average stat you want to see is 2,500. If they're above 2,500, that means they excel in something. If they're below it, they're just slightly underwhelming in that aspect. So she's pretty much where I'd want her to be defense-wise, and then attack-wise, she's great. So HP and defense are the only thing that are a tiny bit lower, so she feels like a very well-rounded unit. She's not a tank, she's not a glass cannon. I feel like she's pretty well-rounded, but here's where she kind of suffers. She doesn't have any, besides her skill, none of her 2 Mystic Arts and her 2 arts and her Mystic Art don't have any special abilities. They're just strong hitting arts, and of course, they're all single target attacks. So that's where she kind of suffers there. If you're just using her for the sake of having a decent unit that can hit pretty hard, that's great, but she's not going to be one of those units where you're going to be getting status effects or anything with there. Let's look at Yuri. I didn't actually look at Yuri too much in the beta either, because he's not someone I had. The characters I had in the beta were Kanata, Vicious, Cress, Asbel, and Saray. Those were the 5 SSRs I had by the end of the beta. Okay, so for Saray, 23,000 health, 22,000 attack, and 34,000 defense. So he's pretty tanky. HP is a little low and attack is a little low, so you're really relying on that defense to just kind of stay alive longer. So he won't be too bad as an Earth unit. I think he's the only... I think him and Cress are the only Earth units on the banner. I mean, we'll see here when we go through the rest of these units here. And then he's also another unit that none of his, you know, Divine Wolf, Shining Fang Drop, and Savage Wolf Fury are all attacks that don't have any kind of, like, special effects there. But he is definitely going to be a setup character. You can see that right there. Divine Wolf, 14-hit combo, 8-hit combo for Shining Fang Drop, and then 38-hit combo for Savage Wolf Fury, which is obvious if you've ever played Vespera. You know how long that Mystic Art is. So he'll definitely be... If you have everyone's Mystic Arts, like let's say you're taking on a raid boss, and you have everyone's Mystic Arts up on that turn, start with Yuri. And, you know, you can tell, you know, hit obviously much less damage right there, but I feel like it makes up for it. And then you look at the over limit, that's how many points you need. Like, Cano, for example, is going to take a lot shorter time to get her over limit up than someone like Yuri, who has an over limit of 260. We actually didn't look at, let's actually go back and look real quick. So 270 for Velvet, 140 for Saray. So Saray gets his super fast, so that's actually really nice. That's actually really quick. 200 for Milla, and then 210 for... So yeah, Saray is going to be one of the quicker Mystic Art users right there. But yeah, Yuri's pretty decent. Definitely more on the tanky side than the attacking side, for sure. Let's go ahead and look at Luke Von Fabre. Assuming that's his name in this world, too. We don't know the lore. Well, I don't, because I never got to that part of the story where you meet Luke. 24,000 HP, so a tiny bit. That's pretty much fine. You know, it's 400 HP short, but your Memorial Stone will make up for that. 2,900 attack and 2,800 defense. So he's pretty much... He's a really good unit. As a fire unit, he is definitely someone I would not complain with pulling day one. But he is also, as you can see, he's another unit. You know, no special effects here. But what's nice about him is Burning Havoc is 2 enemies, so within range of each other. So with the 3 characters you have on the map, you'll obviously want to target the one in the middle, so you make sure to hit all 3 characters. I assume that's how that works. I didn't have Luke myself, so I'm not really sure, but I'm assuming that's how that works. So if you attack the guy on the right, you're only going to attack the right guy and the middle guy. You're not going to hit the left guy, so... Definitely something there, and it's damage-wise, it's pretty decent. And then you get an 8-hit combo from that as well, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, so he seems like a well-rounded character just overall. All right, Raid, what do we got for you? Raid's actually really good. You know, he doesn't have as much attack as some of these other characters, but his defense is pretty well-rounded, you know, just a little bit short of what I'd like to see. So, and his HP is over 25,000, so Raid is also a really good fire unit. I feel like if you're building a fire team, having either Luke or Raid would not be bad options. Excuse me. And Rising Phoenix actually has a 30% chance to burn an enemy for 3 turns, so that's actually pretty nice. You have a third of a chance to kind of get that done. 230% attack, 4-hit combo, Sonic Chaos, 3-hit combo, 200%, and then Burning Phoenix is 380% for an 11-hit combo. He's actually really good. I'd say Raid is probably one of the better units on the starting banner of these, like, 15 that we're looking at here. So he definitely would be a good character to kind of get there. And that's it for that row, so let's move over here to where Leon is. Leon is another glass cannon. He's pretty much like Velvet, just a dark version of him. You know, you look at 21,000 HP, 2,100 defense, but he's got almost 4K attack, so he's definitely one of those characters. He's going to be very good for taking out enemies quick. Another arena character I would definitely like to have. His Mystic Art does have an additional effect, which is nice. 80% chance to cast Curse on one enemy for 2 turns. 200% damage, but it's a 29 hit combo, so definitely another one of those setup moves. So you would want to start with his Mystic Art if you're trying to use multiple. I feel like this is going to be like Asteria, where it's going to be most useful to wait till all of your characters have their Mystic Art on the same turn. Unless you're taking out enemy by enemy, you know, like random mobs. But if you're in the tower, or if you're doing arena, or if you're doing raids, I feel like saving those Mystic Arts to use all at the same time is going to be ideal. Kind of like in Asteria, that's what you want to do, because you do the same thing where you build up the percentage. His overall percentages for... It makes sense. His overall percentages are lower, but his attack is higher than most units. Like we were just looking at Raid, for example. So like right here, you can see 155 and 180 for those. Then we go back to Raid, 200, 230, but he has less attack, so it kind of makes up for it, kind of balances them out. So pretty much Leon and Raid will probably be hitting for around the same amount of damage for most of your abilities. We got Stan here, our third fire unit. Fire is definitely one of the, I think, fire and water. Is it fire and water? We'll have to look again in a minute, but I think fire and water were the 2 elements that kind of dominate the starting banner in terms of how many units of each color there are. So he's pretty much the same as Leon. You know, semi-average defense with semi-average health, but a lot of attack. I think his attack is only... I guess that's what it makes up for. He has less defense, but he has more HP than Leon, but Leon has just a little bit more attack. And then, of course, as you can see here, it looks like his arts are actually... Well, at least his Mystic Art is more powerful, 360% as opposed to Leon's 200. But Leon has that chance for Curse, so that makes sense. And then he has Beast, and then Searing Gale. Searing Gale is pretty nice. Searing Gale is, I think it's literally... I mean, it's the same icon as Soray's thing, but they gave Soray's, like, a weird name. I don't know, maybe it was Luke who had that. The icon I've seen, I'm pretty sure it's the same over here. Yeah, this should just be Searing. Yeah, it's literally the same move. And then I think Luke has it. Oh, he has Burning Havoc. It's a little bit different. So that's cool there. So Stun's pretty decent overall. It's really hard for me to give you like genuine critiques of this because we don't know how these characters are going to work yet. You know, we played in the beta, but overall, until we actually get some PvP seasons and, you know, see future units, it's going to be hard to really say, like, oh, this character is good for this specific thing. Cress's stats are overall really good. 30,000 health, attack is 2,900, and defense is 2,500. He's at least on par with what I like to see in a unit for all his stats. But there's got to be something I assume he suffers from. It doesn't really look like he really does. I mean, Dark Blade, yeah, it's a single target thing for 16 hit combo, 310%, so it's a little bit lower than some of the harder hitters, but that's fine. Demon Fang, 180%, and then Phoenix Dance, 12 hit combo, 190% with a chance to burn one enemy for 3 turns. But Cress is one of the better units as well, I have to say. Not really too much else to say about him. I mean, he's good. Vicious. Vicious falls into that category of great health, great defense, or I would say great health, decent defense, but then horrible attack. He is not a character you're going to be relying on to do a ton of damage, but he's a character you'll rely on to be sticking around a lot longer. His skill is pretty nice too. HP of 15% up, all characters. I think that what that's trying to say is all characters get 15%. Remember, these are beta translations. It's not going to look like this when the full game is out. 300% for Persecution Complex, 21 hit combo. most of his attack, he's another setup character. You can see by these hit combos right here. Arc Fire 10 hit combo, Refrain Trigger 15 hit combo with some lower damages. So definitely start off with Vicious to kind of get those combos up. And that's it for that one. So now we have 3 units left to go over. Milla, our only character on the starting banner with an actual heal. Unfortunately, we don't have a group healer yet, but I don't think we need to get into that territory just yet. She's a little different with her skill than Vicious, 15% up for defense. And I'm guessing Cano might be for attack. Okay, that makes sense. So if you run them all together, you're getting that, and you have their skills unlocked, you're getting that all around just 15% up buff to all your stats. Primrose Rondo, her Mystic Art, 360% damage, 5-hit combo, not bad. Heal Aid, I think it's meant, or Heat Aid, I think it's meant to be First Aid, but maybe they went with Heat Aid because, you know, fire. 45, pretty much half healing an entire character, which obviously you can only use every 3 turns. That's the only downside with this kind of game is you're not going to be, in some other gachas where you're able to heal your party members every turn, you're not going to be able to do that here. Hopefully there eventually are some units where, you know, all 3 of their abilities are, well, I don't know about all 3. Maybe at least like their Mystic Art and one of their arts is a heal, and then you can have their second art be an attack. And then she has Igniting Pillar, which has a 40% chance to burn 1 enemy for 3 turns. So that's a higher chance than most of the other burn effects. The other ones are 30%, this one's 40%, so that's pretty nice. Then we look at her stats. She's at least on par or above, which I guess that makes sense. They wanted to overall make Vicious, though Vicious is a little low for attack, but Milla seems pretty solid overall. And then let's look at Cano. Cano's at least on par or higher than what I'd like to see. You know, 29k health. 2,800 attack and 2,500 defense. He is which makes sense, he's the main character. It's probably who a lot of people are going to be going for. I think overall he's probably one of the better units for beginners who are going to start to get used to the game. Cursed Blade Shadow, 380%, 170% for Faint Form Strike. And then Rending Bite, which is an attack all, which I really like this ability a lot. Even though it's weaker, it'll be nice for some of those stages where you're just dealing with random mobs, especially like once you have him at max level and you're just like farming, it's gonna be great because you can knock out 1 wave just like immediately. I think there was something else I wanted to say about Cano, but it kind of slipped my mind here. And his over limit's pretty low for Cursed Blade Chow, so you'll get that pretty quick, kind of like Soray's as well. Damn, I can't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, I know it wasn't about Cano specifically. This is gonna be my kind of method. Whenever we get new banners, this is probably how I'll go over the units is. We'll look at the brand new units on the banner, we'll kind of break down what all their stuff is and what they kind of do. So, let me know if you guys would enjoy that. Obviously, it won't be as long as this video. This video's already over 20 minutes. Most banners will only have like 2, maybe 3 new characters, so it'll be like a 10-minute video to just kind of go through those. And then finally, we have Aegis over here, if I can get him to open up. He is, he's a tank, that's for sure, but it's just, his HP and attack being so low, he's really just not a character you're going to rely on to get too much of a job done, damage-wise, which early on I feel like won't really matter too much in the grand scheme of the game. But he's probably one of the characters I want the least starting out. So 350% for his Mystic Art's not bad. And then, you know, he's got 1-hit combos or he's got 1 enemy attacks for each of his other things. So, I mean, he's okay. I would say unless he's a favorite, probably don't go for him when you're first making your account. He's probably not one of the better units to go for. Like I said, unless you just really have a bias for Aegis. I just think he's overall just not... And, you know, he's got defense up 15% and 10% for night and water, so you can get a 25%. I guess that's what makes up for it is his skill, getting that defense up. Yeah, he's definitely going to be someone who's going to buff your party, and you definitely want him taking most of the attacks. But that's pretty much going to be it. We went over all the units here. I would say just based off everything, I'm trying to think which characters I would want the most. I'm starting with Saray. Saray is the character I'm definitely picking as my free SSR. And then as for everything else, I'm not going to want Velvet because I don't want to start out with Double Wind. But I would definitely say, like, Kanono would be a decent choice of someone I'd want. You know, Kanono or Asbel for water. Mizella I wouldn't mind for fire just because of her heal. That I feel like that'd be kind of nice to have early on. But maybe Kanata for light again. I mean, that's pretty much what I had in the beta. I had, my main party at the start was Vicious, Kanata, and Saray. So I think I wouldn't mind sticking with that. Maybe not Vicious. Vicious he's okay, but in the story he's not going to be very useful early on because light attribute is what's going to be super effective against most types of enemies you fight early on. So Vicious isn't somebody I want early on, or Leon. Dark is going to be something I'd like to avoid early on. Let me know what you guys think of these units down below. Who is going to be your starting picks for who you want? Definitely let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more if you're new to the channel. You want to stay up to date with everything Tales of Crestoria. I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.